Hey everybody, Scott Oden coming at you here. In this video, we're going to actually answer your questions, so stay tuned. All right, everybody, Scott Oden coming at you here. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here, a beautiful rainy day in Chicago, but it's a perfect day to answer your questions about building your golf swing. So we had a question sent in by user Johnny Slice. He was asking about our previous videos, so make sure you go watch our video on the takeaway, because that's where this question comes from. We'll put a link below for you, and we want you to really understand your golf swing this winter. This is part of our Building Your Golf Swing series, so make sure you watch those videos. We want you to have that swing so when it's time for the spring, you're ready to just go out and play. Also, make sure you click that subscribe button because we got more videos coming. We just did our transition footwork video. We're gonna have more about transitioning in the club and continuing down into impact. And then after we do that, we'll have a lot of drills and stuff that you can work on to get your skills up. But let's get to the question at hand. So the question from user Johnny Slice was talking about where does the golf club point in the takeaway? All right, so that's a great question. And we're gonna use a couple of tools here to make sure this happens. So there's kind of 2 points in the swing that we look at for where the golf club's gonna point. And there's a critical kind of position that happens about, halfway back or so where the golf club is actually going to start to plane itself. It's going to start to flip over basically. And that's a really critical point in the swing where you want the golf club pointed where you want. So let's talk about the first part here. We're going to talk about just the initial takeaway. All right. So I'm going to use this alignment rod. I'm just going to have a little bit sticking out. Now, when we're talking about pointing the golf club, we are talking about the butt end here. Where is the butt end of the club pointing relative to whatever your target and what your swing is going to do? So if we started this swing here, okay, all right, so I've got this alignment rod, and I've got it basically right into my belly button here, okay, and if I start my swing back, for the first few feet, it's basically going to stay pointing at my belly button because, again, as we take away, everything's kind of starting to rotate. If we get to a point where the butt end's not pointing at my belly button anymore, I've probably not moved my body enough, or I'm just too handsy, where now the butt end's pointing way outside, almost at the target or outside the target line at that point. So that would be something where you're already getting the golf club off its circle, off the arc, and you're gonna have to do something to make it get back on the arc. So that can be a little bit tough to manage. So what I like to see, and this is a great drill to do, is you can just take an alignment rod with the grip, just take a few practice takeaways. You can also do this by just choking up on your golf club and putting the grip literally in your belly button and get a feel for taking it back. Now we can only go so far back because there is a critical point in the swing where, okay, now we're gonna see the golf club kind of flip over and it's gonna start to point and start pointing down at the ground, okay? That's a real critical point, and I think that's where we're starting to see in the takeaway, where do we want that golf club to point? Well, you can see I've got a second line, or second alignment rod down on the ground here, and it's basically on the target line in line with the ball, okay? That's kind of our sweet spot with the golf swing. Now, there is a little bit of, you can go here and there, but what I like to see is if we're doing this drill, I want to see that this alignment rod point at the one on the ground. That's usually the really good place to be. And then as you're coming back down, it would be still pointing there as you're getting it lined up. Now the alignment rods are matching, and then you would go. But that's the ideal spot. Now, let's talk about a couple of the variations you could have. We do see some players like Matthew Wolff, right? Where it's pointed well inside that ball line. I prefer to see, if you're not going to point it at the ball line, I like to see it point inside. Okay, now why is that? Because the golf club is typically going to want to point at that ball line, especially in transition. So if you have it pointed inside, at least as you transition, it's going to shallow out a little bit. It's not going to steepen up, okay? You're going to have the golf club pointed more at that line because it's going to shallow. If you, let's say you come back and the club's pointed outside, you're going to be steepening, and most people go too far and they get that over the top issue that you'll see. So I would prefer, if you can nail it, the simplest way is get it pointed right there, right at the stick. But if you have it inside, that's fine, because when you come in, you can let it work and get on plane that way. A little easier to do it in that direction. So it's a great question, though, about how we work the golf club and where should we want it pointing relative to our target line. So hopefully this helps you out. Hopefully it's a great question. Hopefully this answers what you're going to do. So if you're working on where the golf club goes, remember, get that club, try to have it pointed more towards the ball line, and get that golf club pointed, if anything, more inside if it's not pointed at the ball line. That's where we like to see it. I think you're going to be more powerful, more accurate. You're going to feel the golf club swinging a little easier to get it on the arc from that position. So, thanks so much for watching. A great question. Remember, send in your questions about the golf swing. Leave them in the comments. We'll see them and we will answer them as quickly as we can. And thank you very much. Make sure you click that subscribe button. We'll see you in the next video. Next one up is building your swing again. So don't miss out. Click that subscribe button and we'll see you there.